Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of Animal Kingdom Season 5, Episode 6. This is an episode that I feel like, at least on one level, gave a lot of us exactly what we wanted.
We got the heist. I got to see a safe flying out a window, which is what I wanted to see. But the rest of this episode, okay, we got some stuff to talk about here.
Listen, okay, think of this as like sometimes when you have Christmas or Thanksgiving, where you have like the parade at the start of Thanksgiving and it's great, you got the turkey dinner, and then you've got like the afternoon where like all your relatives are like all fighting with each other, and then like there's a football game on and you don't even like football, and you have to sometimes deal with a lot of just like crap to get to the stuff you really, really like.
That is a good analogy for this episode because while the heist was really awesome, and that's what we're going to talk about first,
Yeah.
we have some hot takes on the rest of this episode, and we say that as fans of this show. We are always going to be honest with you guys, and we will be critical of things if it needs be, which is this episode. So let's start with the good stuff, which was the heist. Oh man, this was good. This was really exciting. As I said, I'd been waiting ever since I saw that promo and I saw that safe fly out the window.
Yeah.
I was like, I cannot wait to see how that all comes together. And it came together. 10 out of 10. It was really exciting.
Why couldn't this be the full hour? Like, I loved every single second of this. I loved just like the construction outfits, which felt very much, by the way, that they had just like picked them up at a surplus store somewhere. They were just like generic construction worker A, B, and C, but I don't care.
And I love that Ren was part of this. It gave something more happening with Craig because Craig has not had enough to do this whole season. It has been a complaint of mine, a complaint of yours, complaint of some of you guys too. There's just not enough going on with him. And to actually have Ren be brought in by Darren to say, listen, we're bringing her in, and having Craig kind of feel a certain way about it, and to see him on this heist worried about Ren, I understand where Craig was coming from with that he was going to have his mind elsewhere, that as soon as it was like, oh, we've been burned, it's time to pull the plug on this, that quickly Craig was going to be like, I need to get the mother of my child out of here. I need to get out of here. We got to go.
It all made sense. Like that's the big thing about this heist. This is why the heist works so well on this show. Everything from, okay, we need another person. We'll bring in Ren. We'll get Ren involved. Let's give Ren something more to do, which is great. The procedure of, okay, inevitably somebody is going to come by and question these guys making a ton of loud noise next to the safe. And then, of course, there's going to be a crisis where a couple of them think that they need to leave because there's a ticking clock. And then you've got Darren be like, we're so close. This will only take 3 minutes. I'm not backing down now. I'm like, yes. Give me this.
That moment where it was like you could see him looking through the door being like, I see you stealing my safe.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh man, this is so tense. And the thing that I ended up liking the most about this was the stuff with Ren. And the reason why is because she's been part of this, where this season, you know, Craig has really been pushing her to give up her business, and which is something that she clearly enjoys doing. She likes having something that belongs to her. She doesn't want to just depend on Craig for stuff. She has her own stuff going on. Okay, fine. If she has to give that up, what else can she do? She talked about doing real estate, but you could see that wasn't really in her heart.
No.
But that moment when she was running down the alleyway and then she sat down behind that dumpster, you could see the smile all over her face that she is all in on these types of heists.
I'm really curious to know where this goes now, because it's like I have gone within like 1 week's time from being like so unbelievably out on Ren that I would have been fine if they just killed the character off, to now thinking, has Ren just... I understand Ren was a criminal before.
Yes, she was.
But did Ren just break bad? Like, is there going to be a chance now where Ren is like going to go and try to orchestrate her own heist or try to do... Because it does feel like... Did Ren enjoy this too much? I think that is the big question I'm worried about now.
Okay, so before we get into the Pamela of it all, if you are enjoying this video, hit that subscribe button. We are here every single Sunday night talking about Animal Kingdom for the whole season.
Okay, well, Pamela, this is the thing, is that I loved all of the eyes so much. I actually did watch the part with the safe at least like 4 times because I just took such great pleasure in it flying out of there. But it's sort of like the Pamela stuff we get around to her, it just felt like everything was kind of tied together, like so much faster than it really needed to be.
And I kind of understand it. I mean, I thought that this was definitely going to go on longer. And I think Pamela thought that too, that she thought, hey, we'll see where we are at the end of this job. Maybe you'll have to do a couple more jobs. Maybe you'll earn a thing back here and there. But Darren's not having it. He basically said, I have drawn up an agreement where you are going to hand everything back. And if you don't, you will never see this safe again. And she said, okay. Now, the one thing that did come out of this that gives me some hope that we are going to continue to see these two families working together again, because I really like Pamela.
Yeah.
I like Phoenix. I like sort of these two families coming together, was Pamela saying that she thinks that Smurf gave her the estate so that their families would meet and that they would have this back and forth, that if the Cody boys ever needed Pamela, Pamela's there. Pamela ever needed them, they're there. And we saw on Darren's face that understanding of that, where he was kind of like, yeah, maybe that was why. Okay, there might have been a better way to do this, but all right.
It's okay. The story of Animal Kingdom in my head, like I'm just going to imagine for a second here, selfishly, that I'm executive producer here. I wanted the I'm sorry, your princess is in another castle moment with Pamela, where she's like, I'm sorry, you have another heist you have to do now. Because I wanted another heist next week. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm disappointed by the way it turned out. Like, I understand, like you said, Darren is smart enough to know that he had leverage. He's smart enough to know that he had a way to sort of figure things out. And yes, I do also want to see more of Pamela moving forward, and maybe that's happening, but I just feel like if you were Darren or if you were Jay, if Pamela comes to you next week and is like, I got another job for you guys, what's gonna make them want to take it? Like, they could just peace out on her. They got what they want now.
Money, the motivation for everything. I mean, if Pamela comes back with something that's really juicy, now they have built a bit of a trust here where Pamela is seemingly going to give back the estate. They're going to give her the safe. The exchange is going to be pretty seamless. And if that is the case, then maybe the Cody boys will be a little more interested, or maybe they need Phoenix because Pope is gone off doing some stuff that we are going to talk about that is really, I don't know. So yeah, going into the next episode, it's like, okay, so what is on the table for the Cody boys and Pamela minus Pope? There really isn't a build up to anything else right now. They've completed everything. Yeah. So let's talk about Pope.
Okay. Let's just say it. This wasn't good. Like, it wasn't compelling. It felt too much like, why does every show with a tortured soul have to go out to like the middle of this was just like worst version of the end of Mad Men for me. Like, they're not even coming up with the jingle for Coke. Spoiler alert for the end of Mad Men, everybody. Like,
no, I agree. When this started and Pope was driving down the highway and he was speeding up and he was holding, a gun to his own head, and he was sort of really digging into the idea that Smurf set him up to die. Yeah. When she went on this sort of killing spree where she thought she was going to go out in a blaze of glory, she brought Pope with no gun and no protection. She basically brought him to die. So I think he is really feeling that he's lost his mom. His mom was killed in front of him. And on top of it, his mom brought him to die. So him going down the highway kind of being like, is this what you wanted, Smurf? You wanted me to die, sort of thing. I was like, oh, wow. Okay, this is getting to the meat of what Pope is going through.
Yeah.
Then he stopped at that commune, and then he's drinking drugs. And then I hated all of it. I didn't like any of it. None of it. Especially when he was taking the drugs and everyone had taken a bunch of drugs, and some guy's like, "You're the devil, I can see evil in you." Pope is not evil. We've seen stuff like this before. It's never been good. Anytime I've ever seen it, Pope is not an evil, bad man. He's not. Is he someone who has done bad things? Sure. Is there a darkness inside him? Sure. But he's not an inherently like evil, bad, devil person. And okay, yeah, maybe that guy was on drugs and seeing things, but come on. If we're really digging into the Pope character, we all know he's not inherently bad.
Okay, I'll start with this. I liked the first 3 minutes of this when Pope was by himself, because like that monologue where he was really tortured and driving around, it's like Sean is really killing it this season, and
he's so good.
He is like this was like an Emmy worthy moment for him. And then record scratch, we go completely on the other side of it. And maybe my expectations were really high because I'm usually all in on these like wayward soul, one character storylines where they're off kind of by themselves. And I think I had just pictured Pope like kind of doing those first 3 minutes the whole episode. And instead, we go to all these characters who I do not care about whatsoever. All these themes that we've seen beat up just time and time and time again on. I don't know where this is going. I don't really care where it's going. If this is all we're getting out of this, can we just bring Pope back to the Codys? I understand he's not getting anything from them either, but at least we're not having a total wasted storyline that way.
The only thing that came out of this was sort of this throwaway line that felt like it kind of came out of nowhere but was important, was him basically saying, "I'm sorry, Julia, she made me do it." And we don't know what that is referring to yet. We haven't gotten to this part yet, but clearly there is something that's been weighing on him. I just wish that we had gotten to this line or more of this realization with just Pope talking to himself. Like, could we not have just had him, maybe crash his car out somewhere where he couldn't get a signal and he was by himself?
Yeah.
He didn't need to be taking drugs to be having these conversations with us. He is fully coherent on what is going on in his own life. We could have gotten this another way.
Listen, Animal Kingdom, you still got a long season ahead of you. You can redeem yourselves. I understand there's no way to go back in time and change what you've already done, but if there's like another 5 episodes of this, can you please go back in time and change what it's already done?
Speaking of going back in time, can we please drop these flashbacks? I am done with these flashbacks. I understand that they want to show us some of the like setup of when Smurf decides to stay in Oceanside and how things are going to be different. I like the stuff with young Pope and young Julia. I like sort of this, Pope is very much like his mom and is all sort of in on this from a very young age. Julia is having a much harder time. She is just a young girl, scared, not understanding, not wanting to really be part of all of this. Make this a spinoff. Do not keep this in actual Animal Kingdom. This is a different show. Just move it over, the Young Smurf show, have them on sort of at the same time. They're doing something like this over on Power right now, which is, they're doing a killer job at it. They're doing like let's look back at this one character we had on Power. Let's look back when he was 15. How did he become the way that he did? And it's one of the best new shows of the year.
It's a good point. It's just because I don't think that these Young Smurf stuff is like destined to be bad. Like, I think if it was its own thing, it could probably be fine because they would probably have more time to actually invest in it to sort of fill out that world. Because now it's sort of like we're driving on this road where we're kind of going in this direction, and then like every 10 minutes we like hit a pothole and we're forced to like swerve over to this direction, and then we spend a few minutes here, then we swerve back. It's just there's no momentum. There's no consistency. It's like we constantly keep having to kind of keep track in our brain of, okay, sooner or later we're going to get to another flashback, so I got to get my mind back into that place. Then I got to get back into this place. It's too scattershot.
There is no connection anymore. Like, it made sense when we first were getting them because we were learning about young Pope.
Yeah.
Young Pope is the only character that is connecting to what is going on now. And it's not connecting anymore. Nothing is really connecting anymore. This really is about how they all set up. And that is not what is happening in the present anymore. There isn't enough of an overall arc that is connecting these two stories that makes sense. I am being taken to another complete period of time that doesn't have anything to do with what is going on now.
I will say here, there's one more thing I enjoyed about this episode that I've kind of enjoyed about most of the season.
Mm-hmm.
The lingering moody shot of a male character at the end of the episode. Because we had at least like 3 of these at the start of this season where Pope was just sort of just like looking off into the distance. And in this episode, we had like Darren at the end of the episode just standing outside and just being like, I don't know why, but I am all in on just the weird lingering mood shots.
They clearly don't know how to end these episodes. Like, there's no real. This is the weird thing about this season is there's no real like, this is where we're going next episode. No. Let's leave a little bit of a taste of what is coming up, a little bit of a cliffhanger, what's coming up. I thought that whole thing that was happening with Darren, where he's walking around the house and getting a drink and being moody, I was like, is Adrian about to show up? Is that guy, that cop, going to show back up again and threaten him again? Something is about to happen, and nothing happened. I was just like, okay, guys, get some direction this season. This is such a like really good show. It feels so directionless.
I am on an island. I like the moody when the shots at the. I want to end this video. We're just gonna be sitting here for like two minutes, not saying anything, and then one of us is just gonna get.
We're not gonna do that. Don't click off. Don't click off. I promise that's not happening. I will click the video.
You're just gonna click off before I do the moody.
That's right.
Well, okay. See, this is where we go separate roads. But in general, I think we both feel like this show has some great stuff. The heist stuff is really fun.
Yes.
It's just they got to do some work elsewhere. We of course do want to know from you guys. What did you think of season 5, episode 6? Are you in on the endings to these episodes? Let us know in the comments. Give this video a like if you enjoyed our discussion. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you here next time.